Okay. All right. Good morning. Good morning, Facebook. Good morning. Welcome. I am Gina Leito-Diouf, and today we're going to be talking about reading and the fundamentals of it all. So get yourself some water, some tea, grab a book if you like your favorite book, and we'll be having our discussion soon. Welcome. Good morning, Facebook community. All right. Good morning. Good morning, Facebook. Good morning. Tina, keep talking to Facebook. Okay, yes. Good morning, Facebook family. Welcome to day 624 of the Wake Up Everybody movement. Thank you for joining me this morning. We're going to be talking a little bit about reading. It's a quick bite, just a short Wednesday morning session, but let's have some fun and talk about one of my favorite topics, which is reading and books. And hopefully it's one of yours too. And if it isn't now, maybe it will be something that you enjoy doing by the end of today's session. So welcome.
Peace and blessing, Sister Gina. Glad to see you.
Good morning, Sister Teresa, the multimillionaire.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning.
Beautiful.
Let's see. The folks are coming into the Zoom space, I see. Let's see who's here today. Okay, we have Mama Abimbola. Good morning.
Peace and blessings.
And blessings. Good morning. Good morning, Marilyn. Good morning.
Good morning, all.
Good morning. Good morning, Sister Z. Sister Zakia is here. Good morning.
Beloved.
Good morning. Brother Adam, good morning.
Good morning. I'm Sister Gina. How you doing this morning?
Wonderful, brother. Wonderful. Great to see you. Great to see you as always.
Likewise.
Thank you. Let's see who's in the house. Okay. So they are almost here. So we're going to just be talking reading this morning, which is one of my favorite topics. So you'll just need to grab a book if you have a favorite, or just know the title. Get yourself some water, some tea. It's Wednesday, so it'll be a short session, but hopefully, we'll have a rich conversation about something that I find to be fundamental. And I hope that you get something out of it as well. Good morning and thank you. Thanks for coming in. Good morning. Good morning. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Sister Charmaine. Coach Charmaine is in the house. Good morning, Coach Charmaine.
Good morning, beautiful
well.
family. I'm sorry I didn't speak to y'all. How y'all doing? Miss seeing y'all. Glad to be here.
Sister Teresa, it's always good to have you in the house. Yes. Good morning, everyone. Good morning and welcome.
Wake up, everybody. It's time to get up. Wake up, everybody. It's time to get up. Stay woke. Stay woke. Stay woke. It's time to get up. Stay woke. Stay reaching, we're moving. Together, together, we're learning, discerning, we're striving. Together, together, we're leading, connecting, transforming. Together, together.
Good morning, greetings everyone, and welcome to day 624 of the Wake Up Everybody movement. Good morning, good morning. Good morning to Miss Marie Lovell, and good morning to Sister Louise Galloway. Good morning. So before we begin, I would like to ask permission from our elders to begin. Is there anyone here that is over the age of 76? Is there anyone?
Yes, this is Sister Abimbola.
Sister Abimbola, may we have permission?
Permission granted.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, so good morning, everyone. So as the title suggests, we're going to talk about reading today, and the fundamentals of it. Basically, what is important about it? Why is reading foundational to our health? And just overall a good time and a good thing to do. So today we're going to talk about that. So if you could show our little video, we have a little icebreaker video where we'll show, and some of you may remember it from your childhood.
To a child who doesn't read, the world is a closed book, drifting, dropping back, dropping out. That's why a nationwide organization named RIF, Reading is Fundamental, was formed, to help get books into the hands of children who have no books of their own. A book a child can pick out himself, for keeps. A book that really belongs to him and makes him want to read. It works. There are more than 150 local RIF programs starting up in communities like yours. They're proving that once you start a child reading, there's no stopping him. If America is to grow up thinking, reading is fundamental. To find out how you can help, write to RIF Incorporated, Smithsonian Institution, Washington, D.C.
Thank you, admin. So yeah, so that was a little video. Yeah, if you remember, they used to have the bookmobiles go to your, to your city. Those of us from New York City, we saw that. I'm not sure if it was something that they did in more rural areas, but definitely in urban centers in America. They had these bookmobiles, and they would come into your neighborhood, usually on a school day, and your class would go out to the bookmobile. You go on the bus, you pick out a book, and you go back into your class. You have this book, you take it home, you got yourself a new book. And it was called Reading is Fundamental was the program, and RIF, we called it. And it was a great program, and you got to sit with books, pick out what you liked, and, encouraged you to read. And because it is so important, and as the guy says in the public service announcement, if America is to grow up thinking, reading is fundamental. So I was thinking, and what got me to have this discussion was just thinking back on being a child, a young adult, and summertime, as summer would begin and school was ending, how they used to give you assigned reading to do over the summer, and you had to do your reading assignments, and you had to write a book report. And I remember vividly going from elementary school to junior high school, and they had us write 7 book reports for this particular school. And I just remember being just like, wow, this must be really smart. Like, we must be really smart if they want us to write a book report every week. And it just was something I always loved doing and something I always enjoyed. We grew up in a house full of books. My mother was an avid reader. I believe my father caught reading from my mother because, as he grew older, he became a person who enjoyed reading as much as she did. And so books were always so important in our house and in our family. And I think to society, I think books are very important. And I just feel that we are so connected to so many devices now, and we have so many distractions now with so many different social media platforms. And in addition to the social media platforms, they connect you to actual activities to do outside in the real world now too. So it's not just that you're in your house on your phone, you're also, or on your tablet or computer, you're also going out into the world doing new activities that you found on your phone, tablet, or computer. So I just feel that, I know for me personally, reading became something that went into the background instead of into the foreground. Um, and I just, the things that we developed in that course was a book club. And so we would read these books together and, and then have a discussion about the book every week. And it just reignited how much I love to read and how much fun it is to read books and talk about them. And so, so that's what sent me back to, junior high school and book reports, and actually, feeling like it was going to be really daunting to write 7 book reports, but actually it was really fun. And it was a challenge. I looked at it as a challenge to read 7 books. That meant a book every week had to be read, finished, and written up about every single week. And so, looking at how life has changed and shifted for our children today, and wondering, do they have the opportunity, to challenge themselves like that? And would they look at that as something fun, or something challenging, or would they just choose not to do it and just, maybe listen to the audiobook instead and, write their book report that way? So it just opened it up for me. So I just wanted to know. So let me ask you all, what are you reading? What are you reading? I am sure that I'm not myself. I'm reading The Vanishing Half right now, and the Parable of the Sower. Those are the 2 books that I'm in the middle of right now. What about you?
All right, peace and blessings. Good morning, everyone.
Good
I've been
morning.
reading different stuff about my job, because there's a lot of different things that I got to train on. So reading different stuff about NFTs, or stuff about different studies about trading. That's some stuff I've been reading. I've been reading actual writing stuff about my podcast. It's gonna be called Be Good to Me. So I've been writing and reading different stuff. So and I remember that book, that book thing. I remember other thing was, what's his name? LeVar Burton used to do a lot of reading too when we was kids.
Yes.
LeVar Burton was another person who was always talking about reading. Actually, he has a podcast and he's reading to people right now. So he's been doing reading for years. So that was really a good thing. Yes.
Teresa, as you're talking, there's a muffling sound, and then you also going out, voices going out. But we heard you, just a little challenging.
So I'll say it again. I was saying that I was reading. I remember LeVar Burton when I was younger, who did a program like that on Channel 13. And he used to read to people all the time, and he's still doing that right now. And I also said that I was reading stuff about creating NFTs, reading stuff about trading, just reading different things about the crypto world, and also working on doing my podcast called Be Good to Me. So I've been reading a lot of information about starting my podcast, and I'm complete.
Okay. Thank you, Sister Teresa. So you're reading some things, about life and work and, self-improvement. So that's always interesting. That's always fun. And that's something that I know I've found. I was doing a lot of reading like that. I was reading a lot of books about myself and my spirit and my soul and my development. But I had not been just reading books just for fun. And so it was great for me to add that back in, to add the fun back in. And that's right, LeVar Burton and Reading Rainbow. Yeah, that was always beautiful, to have, him sit there on TV and read stories to children. So yeah, these are the things that I don't know. I just feel like they're missing from today's children. Those of you who have, little ones or grandchildren or small children in your life, you may notice, that books are definitely not as important to them in this generation as they were, in our generations or in previous generations. I'm assuming, your ages of just should not, but yeah, I just noticed that through the years, the importance of the actual books and sitting and reading, has sort of gone into the background. Marilyn, you have something to share?
Yeah.
Good morning.
Marilyn, hold
How
on.
are you? Yes.
Oh, hold on.
Before we do that, let's read the chat and get your question answered. So Zakia says, I'm a reading addict and proud of it. Cherry says, I am currently reading a few books, Dear Justice and In My Skin. And from Facebook, Kaya says, just finished Here's of a Crescent Moon. And Jacqueline out there on Facebook also says, Sacred Success and Living Life and Joy. I put in here that I started reading The Master's Way, but I haven't picked up in 3 weeks. And Zakia says she's reading Atomic Habits by James Clear, The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson, and I just finished Mystery Novel by Janet Evanovich.
Yeah.
And okay, Zakia.
We have some more Facebook too.
Okay, Zakia is agreeing. I'm with my grands before I read them for bed. And my son, my son loves Cat in the Hat. And Denise, you can go ahead and read them from Facebook directly. Right.
Okay. First of all, Gina, Jackie loves you here.
Thank you.
Teresa is often, she's reading like 3 books. You Too Can Be a Homeowner, Beneath the Crown, and I Did It All for You. Also An Intimate Letter from Jesus. So she's really loving to read that. And Kaisha just bought The Other Black Girl, and so she started to read that as well. And Jim is reading books about healing. So we got some Facebook readers here today.
Very nice. Very nice. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So Sister Marilyn.
Thank you. Good morning. So yeah, so I do believe that reading is also fundamental. Being a preschool teacher, that's what I do the most. I'm constantly reading. And I have noticed that parents don't read to kids as much as they used to. Kids don't pick up books. And sometimes parents believe that because they're watching a book on a tablet or something, they're getting the same out of it as when you sit with them and you read and you point out pictures, you ask them questions. Reading with them creates a dialogue, creates an increase in vocabulary, creates or expands their knowledge, versus when they're just looking at it on a tablet and it's just reading to them. All they're really paying attention is the picture moving. If you're not asking about what they're reading, you really can't tell whether or not they learned anything, they picked up anything. And as part of like my job, I enjoy reading to them. I am constantly reading, I'm constantly putting book orders, and I make it excited that when I receive my book orders, I don't open the box, I bring it to the middle of the room, and I just get them excited and say, oh my God, we got a new book order come on, let's see what's inside. And they just start screaming. Oh my God, it's just like their reaction to it. And then I ask them, which one should I read first? And they just pick out the ones they want. I always leave the box out for a couple of days so they could pick it out. And there's also this app that somebody had introduced me to called Novel Effect. And what it does is it adds on sound effects to the stories that I'm reading. So I'm still reading to them. I'm still turning the pages, still asking questions. But that app adds on the bounciness, the running, coins dropping, like every little sound that you could imagine is on there. And they absolutely love it. So I really agree that reading, especially starting from young, is essential. And I'm complete.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And I just want to applaud you as a preschool teacher, who's committed to her children. I mean, that is amazing to get them excited about a book order and have them interested and get, just keeping them engaged. That's just setting the foundation, just creating the fundamentals of reading for these children for a whole generation. So thank you, thank you, thank you for what you do
Thank you.
every day, with our children, because that's amazing. Thank you. And I just love that. And I can just picture the little ones coming to the middle of the rug, going through the box, getting excited, yelling and picking out a book. And that's what they
Oh,
need. They
yes,
need
yes.
that excitement.
And even like they see the pictures and it's just like, right now I have toddlers. So they're really picking up the language based on the books. They remember what stories I read. They kind of remember more or less like the catchphrases that repeat themselves. So they join in. It's amazing. It truly is.
It is. It is. And you're shaping a world doing that. So thank you. It's great. And it shows, and it is fundamental, it is. And it's gonna like you said, it's the actual reading, the conversation around the reading as well. So yes, parents can give children tablets that will play stories, and read the story to the child, but there's no conversation. The tablet won't talk to the child, won't ask the child a question about a picture or about a word or what just happened in a story, the way a parent or an adult, I guess we can say your grown up would, would do with you. Even sometimes your sibling, so my sister would read to me as well. It doesn't have to be a parent. It could be anybody who knows how to read, can read to a child. Children can read to each other all the time. And it still helps to develop that love of reading, that critical thinking that's so important today, especially. I mean, we're watching our world change, so we have to be able to think critically about all of these changes that are happening in our government, in our society, so that we can navigate it, so we can navigate the world. So I think reading really is fundamental, for us to be able to do that. In addition to being, something that's fundamental, I also looked into it and found the self-care aspects of reading. So can we show our next slide? Okay, yes, so the self-care of reading. So reading does other things for us as well. There have been lots of different studies about reading through the years. It's not groundbreaking, or earth-shattering. These are things that we know. Reading can promote empathy. It allows us to get inside the minds and hearts of characters. I mean, how many times have you been simply sitting reading a book and you're actually crying tears about what's happening in that book, and your heart gets racing. You just finished the Janet Ivanovich mystery, so how much adrenaline was pumping at certain points in that book, and how much were you in the character's mind trying to figure out the mystery. We get inside the other characters, and that helps us as humans. That helps us to promote empathy. Not everyone is necessarily that much, that empathic, but you can always learn it, and we can always get better at anything. And reading can help us do that. Reading also has been shown to be a natural stress reliever. And now in this day and age of stress, because we have no shortage of stress right now, reading is something that's fundamental to helping relieve that stress. The studies show that it lowers your heart rate, that it can reduce your blood pressure. Now, I'm not saying you don't need blood pressure medication, you don't need to exercise or eat right. I'm just saying you can add reading into your lifestyle in order to reduce the stress of everyday living, that we deal with nowadays. And I really found interesting that reading also can prevent, cognitive decline, because that's also something that we have to be mindful of, because constant stress wears us out. It wears out our brain as well. So reading is something that can help your brain avoid, going into decline. I know my mother was a volunteer at a project that worked with the early stages of people and dealing with Alzheimer's. And so they were always looking for brain exercises for people to do. Reading is a brain exercise. And when you make your brain exercise, it keeps those lesions from forming on the brain. It keeps the plaque from clogging up, your blood vessels and things. So it keeps the brain literally physically active. So it's good exercise for your brain. So as we age, we want to age well. We want to age healthy, and we want to have our faculties together. So reading is something that would be fundamental to doing that. And if you know someone who's, who you do find is aging well, talk to them. Chances are they are a reader. Most of the people that I know, that I say, wow, this person is somebody that I would like to be like, I find that they are avid readers. So reading is really important to help in keeping your mind sharp, as we age. And reading also may reduce symptoms of depression, which I found to be interesting. A study found that it stimulates feelings of comfort and attachment to the characters. So as you're reading a book, which there are characters, you will sit and talk to the characters in your head, and they can become like people in your life, and even in nonfiction books, you might be reading studies. I was reading a book, what is his name, Joe Dispenza, and he would give you these anecdotes about people he worked with, and each anecdote made me feel connected to the people he was writing about. So it does that as well. And lastly, it can help you just relax and fall asleep, because a lot of people have trouble sleeping. A lot of people have trouble sleeping at night. Your brain is running, and then you lie down and, you can't shut it off, which there's so many techniques and tactics, and there's a lot of things you can try to do. One of them might be curl up with a book, an actual paper book, not an ebook at night. I know a lot of people love their e-readers, their Nooks and Kindles, and, reading on a tablet. But if you're trying to go to sleep, those e-readers give off a blue light, which helps actually stimulate you. So if you want to relax, if you're trying to relax at any point in the day, or you want to fall asleep, or you want to take a nap, actually curl up with an actual book. I mean, it was always one of the best ways for me to fall asleep as a child. When my parents would make me turn off the TV because, we fall into these habits. And so reading a book would always kind of just lull me to sleep. So overall, reading is good. It's good for self-care. It's good for brain health. It's good for critical thinking, mood lifting. All of these things are foundational for us having a good life. And that's what we all want, right? We want to have a good life. We want to feel good in our life. And we want to, live long and healthy. So reading is fundamental to all of these things. So I just wanted us to have a conversation about that. I see there's a hand up, Mama Teresa.
And before Teresa,
I just wanted to share what she said.
Teresa, 1 second, okay? Cherry, I don't know if you want to come on after Teresa to describe your question a little bit more. Gina spoke about cognitive decline. If you wanted a deeper question, think of that and then share. Okay, Teresa.
Yes. Hi. Good morning. I just wanted to say is that I'm in a book club. I forgot I was in that just now, but we have it every Monday, and by me it's at night, 10 o'clock at night. But by me being in a book club, have really increased. I have a problem with reading comprehension, so I do a lot of audio books, but just because I've been doing it, I have seen that um my knowledge have increased so much, and I remember a lot of the books. So and they didn't have that when I was growing up, and I had a problem with reading. So I want to encourage kids who have a problem with reading and comprehending, that audiobooks are very, very good. And the libraries offers a lot of stuff. I didn't even know that the library has so much stuff like ebooks and stuff like that. And so I just want to encourage everyone. And one of the books that I really love was called Eat That Frog. It talks about procrastination, and it's a really, really a good book. Really, really good book. And I just want to thank you because you just remind me of my childhood so much, just talking about the reading stuff and how we would go to the library. Like I remember I used to work at a library, and some of the Jewish children would get like 100 books. They would get like 100 books, like they would get about 50 books every time they came to the library. So they didn't allow their kids to watch TV like we did. And so they always had like a whole bunch of books. Each child had like a stack of books, and it was amazing to see, how they did. So some of the coaches that other people are doing that we really could look at and just see why maybe, some of the kids, but I know with us, my mother used to read to us every night. That was just so nice to get a book. Do you ever remember your mama reading to you? That was such a good thing. It's like it took you into that fantasy land. So what it made me think about, I needed to just get my little grandson and start reading with him. Even though I'm in Georgia, he's in New York, and I'm in Georgia. He's in Georgia. I guess I'm supposed to be in Georgia. He's in Georgia. I'm gonna start calling him and start reading him. So thank you for bringing up the subject, and I really appreciate it. Had a wonderful time.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for the piece about the audiobooks, because that's true. I'm not a reading expert, but that is a wonderful option for people who do struggle with reading. It's not always easy for everybody to sit and go through a book and understand everything that they're reading, but that's true. Now we do have audiobooks available that you can sit and listen to, you know, in place of reading, or maybe in addition to reading the book, to help you to strengthen
Yes.
your comprehension. So
And
yes, thank you for that
YouTube has
piece, Mama Teresa.
a lot of books on YouTube. You just go on YouTube and put the book name or the author, and it comes right up for you.
Nice, nice. Thank you. And yes, your local libraries, almost every state library systems do offer all kinds of e-books now. Like as far as audio, you can check out, they have all different little gadgets and different ways you can download books and, read them, borrow them electronically. It's interesting what's going on in the world of reading these days. Do we have anything else going on in the chat, admin, or any more questions?
Did she get to Cherry's question?
Oh, yes. Cherry had a question.
Yeah, she wanted you to go more in detail when you talked about cognitive decline.
Okay, well, again, I'm not a reading expert, but I read a study about reading and its benefits. And one of them was that the brain needs to exercise as well. It needs to exercise, and reading exercises the brain so that it doesn't become stagnant and doesn't grow these brain lesions, which apparently are, deadly to our mental health as we age. So we want to keep the brain growing and moving. Apparently, it never stops growing. The brain can continue to learn new things as long as we're alive. So we want to keep feeding it healthy things to keep it exercising. So the reading is one of those healthy ways that you can stimulate your brain, keep it exercising, keep it active to help you prevent, what they call cognitive decline. Again, I'm not a doctor or brain specialist either, but you can look it up. You can just, you can ask Google and it'll send you to a lot of sources. And then you can find a reputable source that you like, and you'll probably find a good book that you can read on how to use reading to prevent cognitive decline. Because there's a lot of, there've been a lot of studies, that, using different puzzles. Like I said, my mom has learned this watching my mother work with early stage Alzheimer's patients as a volunteer. And so they used to have the volunteers, like they would read to them, they would have them doing Sudoku, they would have them doing physical jigsaw puzzles, crossword puzzles, different brain activities to keep their brains exercising and growing versus, stagnating and shrinking.
Right. I thought about that saying that people say, if you don't use it, you lose it. That's something that I always try to go by. Like, even I have like a strong exercise regimen, and I
Okay.
always try to look up different ways how to use different muscles in my body. Because, of course, if you're just like constantly working the same muscle over and over again, your other muscles are not being, utilized, and then they won't grow. So then you'll have like these huge arms, and then like the rest of your body just, it just doesn't look right. But that's just like the only way that I can compare it to, is like, if you're not utilizing certain, tactics in order to, like you said, like feed the brain in a sense, like you're susceptible to those diseases, as you said. And even I remember growing up, one of my grandmothers, she would always have puzzle books with her all the time. Like, she had them in her purse, she had them by her bed, she would have them in the bathroom. She just always had puzzle books. And then, when I got older, then I realized, like, maybe she didn't even know that she was like, utilizing that aspect of like, I'm feeding my brain or whatever. Or she probably didn't even realize that it related to what you call it, like the increase of using the cognitive, aspect of her brain or whatever. But I've never even heard of the term cognitive decline. So I'm glad that I know now, because I am very acquainted with a lot of older women, and I would love to discuss this with them even more, to just like go even deeper with the conversation, because it is something that our elders go through, the Alzheimer's and dementia and things like that. It's very not very rare. What's the other opposite from very rare? It's very
It's common. It's very
right.
common.
So, that's a beautiful thing to be able to utilize your brain. I actually want to learn Sudoku. My son knows how to do it. I don't, but I heard that's a really great way too, to utilize that aspect of your brain, like the cognitiveness, and just so you could just like be quicker. And like you said, like you could never stop learning. So that's like something that I kind of want to like get into, which is like, it's still a form of like, doing an exercise with your brain. So that's what I
Exactly.
want. So
Oh,
thank you.
thank you. Thank you for bringing that in. That's important, what you said, as far as the exercise piece for the body. It's true. And that also will help with the brain. But so exercise the brain, to keep it active, to keep it healthy. And, let's read things and learn things, absorb more, information and process it, not just consume content, but actually process it, you know, by reading and understanding, or by listening to an audiobook and understanding it and processing it, so that we can keep our brains healthy and active, and keep our health, keep our health up, and our brains, you know, healthy, so that it can get us all the way through life. Is there anything else? Okay, I see we got a hand up. Adam.
All right. Good morning, Woo Nation. Good morning, Gina. Thanks for having this conversation.
Sure.
The one thing that I want to bring up about reading, another thing that reading does for both men and women is that it enhances your image as far as how you show up in the world. and what you dress.
Wow. I never
Because
thought of that, Adam.
yes, it does. Because whenever you read a book of your choice or whatever, you start to gain knowledge. And if you do it consistently, and you start having a different perspective of yourself versus what the media puts out there. For example, as a young Black man, if you read to him like on a consistent basis, then he won't follow the peers as far as him wearing his pants below his butt, or not knowing how to dress up. So I just wanted to point that out, because I think the reason why some of us some of the Black folks have an image problem is because the Black children are not being read to at a younger age. And also they're also eating things that doesn't serve them any purpose, such as listening to low vibrational music and all of these things. They'll pick up a low vibrational music such as drill music in New York before they'll pick up a book and read. So I just wanted to point out the image perspective behind reading, and I'm complete.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you for bringing that perspective. We turned the jewel and we saw another side. Oh, and I did not recognize that we are past 7:30. It is now 7:40. It is now 7:40. So if you needed to leave at 7:30, you're 10 minutes late. And I apologize for that. But if you want to stay with us, for a few more minutes, we can continue the conversation.
Okay, thank you for that, Gina. So there's some comments in the in the Zoom chat, and basically people are chiming in about having been read to other types of cognitive books, puzzles. I saw some other things, crocheting, watching Jeopardy board games, and I mentioned about Dolly Parton's program. I forgot what it's called. It's here in DC. Zakia said she is familiar with it. So I don't know if it's also, I don't think it's in New York. It might be, she might be experiencing it from Georgia. Jem puts in the chat that hidden images in pictures and comparing pictures with something where something has been changed or altered is great. I remember those, I love those. And okay, Denise says, I remember when I was in college, we were also taught that to increase reading, let the child read anything, comics or whatever, just get the child to begin reading. And Cherry has her hand up.
Okay, thank you. Cherry, did you want to share something?
Yes, I just wanted to also piggyback off of what Adam was saying. It's so interesting because my son is an only child, and he is going to be 14 on the 30th of this month. I noticed that most of the time when he's outside, even if we're like out at like a carnival or something like that, which most kids and teenagers, they're like engaged with everything that's going on around them, because it's it's lights, it's rides, it's food, snacks, games, and he'll literally like stand like somewhere secluded by himself and just pull out his book and start reading. And he's been doing that for years. And I never really thought about it until Adam just said it, but my son, the way he dresses very sophisticated. So he'll wear like button down shirts. He'll wear, like glasses. And he doesn't wear glasses, but he'll just wear them just, I guess, for the look of it.
For the look, okay.
He wears like, like these khaki pants or khaki shorts. He always has a belt on. His pants are never sagging. And, of course, I've said things to him like, oh, I don't want to see your underwear and stuff like that. Like he's never done it, but I've just put it in his head to have him so he can have the thought. But I've never really noticed the way that he dresses. He stands out. A lot of his peers don't dress that way. And it just, now I'm thinking about it and I'm like, maybe that has something to do with the fact that he's a reader. He's a bookworm. My son has read so many books. I've had a library for him since he was 3. So he's like, I guess, like Adam said, like it gave him that push to have a different persona, or to have, him like go out into the world and be perceived in a way where he's in a higher understanding that he's within his own right to, dress how he feels, and he doesn't have to follow the crowd, so it's giving him more of an independence and more of a leadership role. And that's just the way I look at it. But I appreciate Adam for bringing that up. And as a mother, it makes me even admire my son even more for that. And I'm going to land my plane
there. Okay. Well, thanks, Captain Mom, for leading your son, to reading. It's something that you built a foundation for him. And so he was able to add that to his life, and clearly he must love it. And it gives him comfort. And it also, as Adam said, it lets him improve his image of himself. He can look at himself differently and not have to feel like he has to be like anyone else. He can be himself. And, obviously it's not only reading that gave him that, his rearing has obviously helped him do that as well. But the reading reinforced it. I can guarantee you it reinforced that, because he has a healthy self-image. So that's wonderful. And thank you for sharing that. Okay, admin, is there anything else? Any other chat or any other questions?
Question. The chat is winding down. Zakia says, when I was a child, my mom couldn't send me to my room for punishment because I just pick up a book. Ask me too. I would hide a book in the bathroom and hide in there. Adam says, if your child listens to Snoop Dogg consistently versus reading a book consistently, he follows what Snoop does subconsciously.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Planting those seeds. So I am just about complete. I just wanted to encourage everyone to support Black bookstores. They still exist. You can still go online or go into a store and, buy or, get books written by Black authors and about Black people and our life and our experiences. And your local library, your local libraries are still there. So take a walk. Maybe your library card has expired. It's been some time since you've gone down and borrowed a book. Go down there and renew your card and check out a book, and enjoy the summer. Summer is a great time for reading. You usually find some time to be outdoors. You might be taking some time to sit in a park, or go down to the beach. And there's nothing like sitting on the beach with a good book. So just enjoy yourself. If we could show the last slide.
All righty. And before we do that, let me just read Jacqueline's message from Facebook. The library was my favorite place to be as a child. We had weekly book to school. We visited the school library weekly also. I remember it was so much fun to get your library card. Okay, there's more coming in the chat. Let me read this. Okay. Adam says, reading is what made Tupac Shakur the greatest hip hop artist in people's eyes. Queens Library, especially Central Branch, is phenomenal, says Zakia, and all writers join me in writing book this year, implores Teresa. Okay.
Okay, so you can join, you can go to the AALBC. I think it's the African American Literature Book Club. And there's a list of Black bookstores you can find out, in your state, in your city, where you can go. I mean, we know some of the big ones. DC has Sankofa, New Jersey, in Newark, we have Source of Knowledge. Like there's different big bookstores that we all know about. But then if you can go to this website, you can find local stores that you didn't know. There's over 100 bookstores on this list. And I was really, and you sometimes you have some downtime, you go in and visit family or something. And you say, oh, let me go check out, let me see what's in the local Black bookstore. You can look on this website and they can point you to a bookstore nearby, that you can go and support. Sometimes you buy something, sometimes you don't. But I find in the Black bookstores, sometimes just being there, you're gonna get something out of it. You're gonna learn something, you're gonna have a conversation, either with the bookseller or with another patron. You're gonna learn about a new author or a new book that's in, or an old book that you haven't read before. So you can check out the AALBC website to get some more information about that. And so for my special offer, we're gonna have a virtual book club meeting. There's a wonderful book you may have read already called Barracoon by Zora Neale Hurston. And I picked Barracoon because it's also available to you online free. You can just Google Barracoon by Zora Neale Hurston, free PDF, and you can download this book free to your phone, to your laptop or your tablet, or you can go to your local bookstore and purchase it. It's a wonderful story of people who came over on one of the last slave ships from Africa. And this particular man, Mr. Cudjoe Lewis, was actually 19 when he was captured and enslaved. So he remembers his life very vividly in Africa. And then he was enslaved. So he talks about the life before slavery and life during slavery and his life after slavery. So it's a fascinating conversation, a set of conversations that he had with Zora Neale Hurston, and I believe it was in like 1925 or so. So it's really interesting. A lot of his descendants are still living today, in Alabama in the section called Plateau. So it's a fascinating book. And so I've read it. And if you're interested, we can have a conversation about it on Monday, July 25th from 7:30 to 8 p.m. We can have a virtual book club meeting. So if you would like to join, sojourns@gmail.com. The admin just put everything in the chat. Send me an email. If you could email me, no later than July 16th, so that way I'll know you're interested. And then I'll send you a Zoom link and we can meet on July 25th and talk about Barracoon. I hope it'll become one of your favorites because it's become one of mine.
You're breaking up somewhat.
And this is
Your
okay.
contact information.
Okay. This is my contact information. My phone number is 732-882-7387. And you can find me at Sankofa Sojourns on Facebook, on TikTok, actually on Instagram too, Sankofa Sojourns. And my email is Sankofa.
Okay. Gina, I don't know if this is just me, but you disappeared on my.
It's breaking up a little.
Yeah. So her email is sankofasojourns@gmail.com. That was the part that was vague for me. Okay, so you all know by now that you can leave a love offering to the general facilitator community by putting in this link that will be dropped in the chat. You can choose from $25, $50, $75, or $100. And this will be your set it and forget it. I need to think about it again. Tomorrow, We'll be joined by Shawnee, and our topic is the midpoint, checking the view from the center. So be sure to join us 7 o'clock. This is a 90-minute session. And well, knowing Shawnee, you knows how long it will be. Okay, but do come. And welcome new members. If you're there, let us know. Drop in the Zoom chat, drop in the Facebook comment section. Say I'm new or something to that effect so that you can get your love and hugs from the old heads. And we ask that you come back. So we're here 5 days a week. Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday are our long days from 7 to 8:30. Monday and Wednesday are our short days from 7 to 7:30. We're always streaming live on Facebook, and we're always here on Zoom. We have swag. So we want you to get your swag. If you don't have it already, go to bit.ly/swag and get your thermos, your mug, your laptop sleeve, your bag, journal, your sweatshirt, your t-shirt, your mask. You can choose colors, you can choose sizes, and make it yours, make it someone else's if you buy them a gift. And stay in touch. Register every week. Go to bit.ly/wake up movement. Get your name on the email list every week so that you can get the list of who's upcoming and any special offers that is happen to be shared to the community. Get into the private Facebook group. That's where we're streaming live now. So you would need to request admittance. Somebody will let you in, and then you'll be in, and you'll be in. And we have a public page, which is a fan page. You go there and click like. So those two pages are bit.ly/Rule Community private page and bit.ly/Rule Nation public page. Instagram at Wake Up Everybody Virtual. YouTube at bit.ly/Rule on YouTube. And our email info.wakeupseries@gmail.com. So at this point, I'm gonna stop the share and ask everybody. Gina, a wonderful chair for her presentation.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Gina, for this great presentation.
Gina. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, Gina. I
Thank
appreciate the reminder to read and how helpful it is to our brain.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your active participation. I love the move.
And I'm so
Thanks,
glad
Gina. Thanks for the great,
Let's move forward, everybody, and stay
great
creative.
remembrance about reading and the importance
This
of
was
reading.
so
Great job.
Thank you,
awesome.
Gina.
Have a great day, everyone.
Oh,
Love
I
you.
love your
Have a
background. It's
Everyone, love you.
beautiful.
everybody.
Love
And I
you.
love
Give
y'all.
me so
Thank
much
you.
You
life
too,
in your
Adam.
folk.
Improve your
I
image.
House
you
in your
so
Hey,
folk.
much.
Teresa,
In that
Risa.
yard right there. That looks beautiful.
Yes, it
Hi,
is.
family.
Scott,
Hey,
Z.
Teresa.
community.
I
Love
miss
you,
y'all. So
Adam.
glad to be back with y'all. I've been neglecting y'all. Please forgive me. I miss y'all.
No, don't worry about it, Teresa. Do what you gotta do.
So much
worry.
life.
Always in our hearts,
Yeah,
beloved.
Yeah, love y'all.
You're always
You
here.
determine your own
Great
destiny, so don't worry
conversation.
about it.
Yes.